Good evening. This is Orson Welles, your producer of a special series of broadcasts presented by the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon, the Mercury Theater of Suspense. Ladies and gentlemen, the element of suspense is so vital to our story tonight that our sponsors, the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, are omitting their usual commercial message during the intermission between the acts so that our play will go uninterrupted from spooky start to spooky finish. Therefore, let's give Ken Roberts his 45-second opportunity right now to extol the merits of that blended splendid, eh, Ken?
Of that blended, splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. Those two words tell the whole flavor story. You see, every single drop of Pabst Blue Ribbon is the happy result of blending, the full flavor blending of never less than 33 fine brews. That's right, never less than 33 fine brews blend their individual taste tones to give you that splendid flavor. Not too light, not too heavy, but fresh, clean, sparkling, with the real beer taste coming through just the way you like it. Friends, these days when your dealer is unable to supply you with all the Pabst Blue Ribbon you'd like, please keep on asking. For every single bottle you do, you will get up to live up to those high standards of quality and taste. Yes, every bottle will be, as always, blended, splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon. And now, back to Mr. Orson Welles.
We of Mercury reckon that a story doesn't have to appeal to the heart. It can also appeal to the spine. Sometimes you want your heart to be warm. Sometimes you want your spine to tingle. Well, the tingling will be quite audible as you listen to tonight's classic among radio thrillers. Its author is one of the most gifted of all the writers who have ever worked in this medium, Lucille Fletcher, who also wrote the single greatest radio script ever written, Sorry, Wrong Number. The title of this, her terrifying little tale of gruel for this evening, is another spine tingler, by name, The Hitchhiker. I'm in an auto camp on Route 66, just west of Gallup, New Mexico. If I tell it, maybe it'll help me. It will keep me from going crazy. But I must tell this quickly. I am not crazy now. I feel perfectly well. Perfectly well, except I am running a slight temperature. My name is Ronald Adams. I'm 36 years of age, unmarried, tall, dark with a black mustache. I drive a 1940 Ford V8, license number 6V7989. I was born in Brooklyn. All this I know. I know I'm at this moment perfectly sane. That it is not me that's gone mad, but something else, something utterly beyond my control. But I must speak quickly. At any given moment, the link with life may break. This may be the last thing I ever tell on earth, the last night I ever see the stars. 6 days ago, I left Brooklyn to drive to California.
Goodbye, son. Good luck to you, my boy.
Goodbye, Mother. Here, give me a kiss, and then I'll go.
I'll come out with you to the car.
No, it's raining. Stay here at the door. Hey, what's this? Tears?
Oh, it's just the trip, Ronald. I wish you weren't driving.
Oh, Mother, there you go again. People do it every day.
I know, but you'll be careful, won't you? Promise me you'll be extra careful. Don't fall asleep or drive fast or pick up any strangers on the road.
Strangers, don't you worry. There isn't anything going to happen. It's just 8 days of perfectly simple driving on smooth, decent, civilized roads with a hot dog or a hamburger stand every 10 miles. I was in excellent spirits. The drive ahead, even the loneliness seemed like a lark. But I didn't reckon with him. Crossing Brooklyn Bridge that morning in the rain, I saw a man leaning against the cables. He seemed to be waiting for a lift. There were spots of fresh rain on his shoulders. He was carrying a cheap overnight bag in one hand. He was thin, nondescript, with a cap pulled down over his eyes. He stepped off the walk, and if I hadn't swerved, I'd have hit him. I almost did. Almost did hit him. Now I would have forgotten him completely, except that just an hour later, while crossing the Pulaski Skyway over the Jersey Flats, I saw him again. At least he looked like the same person. He was standing now with one thumb pointing west. I couldn't figure out how he'd gotten there. But I thought maybe one of those fast trucks had picked him up, beaten me to the Skyway, and let him off. I didn't stop for him. Then late that night, I saw him again. It was on the new Pennsylvania Turnpike between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. It's 265 miles long with a very high speed limit. I was just slowing down for one of the tunnels when I saw him standing under an arc light by the side of the road. I could see him quite distinctly. The bag, the cap, even the spots of fresh rain spattered over his shoulders. He hailed me this time.
Hello. Hello.
I stepped on the gas like a shot. It's lonely country through the Alleghenies, and I had no intention of stopping. Besides, the coincidences, or whatever it was, gave me the willies. I stopped at the next gas station.
Yes, sir.
Fill her up, will you?
Check your oil.
No, thanks.
Nice night, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, it hasn't been raining here lately, has it?
Not a drop of rain all week.
Oh, no? I suppose that hasn't done your business any harm.
Nope. People drive through here in all kinds of weather. Mostly business, though. Ain't many pleasure cars out on the turnpike this time of year.
Yeah, I guess not. Say, what about hitchhikers?
Hitchhikers. Here?
Why? What's the matter? Don't you ever see any?
A guy'd be a fool to start out to hitchhike on this road. Look at it.
You mean you never see anybody?
Nah. Maybe they get a lift before the turnpike starts. I mean, you know, just before the toll house. But then it's a mighty long ride. Most cars wouldn't pick up a guy for that long a ride. This is pretty lonesome country here. Mountains and woods. You ain't seen nobody like that, have you?
No. Just a technical question.
Oh, I see. Well, that'll be $1.49 with the tax.
The thing gradually passed from my mind as a coincidence. I had a good night's sleep in Pittsburgh. I didn't think about the man all the next day until, just outside of Zanesville, Ohio, I saw him again. It was a bright, sunshiny afternoon. The peaceful Ohio fields, brown with the autumn stubble, lay dreaming in the golden light. I was driving slowly, drinking it in, when the road suddenly ended in a detour. In front of the barrier, he was standing. Now let me explain about his appearance before I go on. I repeat, there was nothing sinister about him. He was as drab as a mud fence, nor was his attitude menacing. He merely stood there, waiting, almost drooping a little, the cheap overnight bag in his hand. He looked as though he'd been waiting there for hours, and he hailed me. He started to walk forward.
Hello. Hello.
I'd stopped the car, of course, for the detour. For a few minutes, I couldn't seem to find the new road. I realized that he must be thinking that I'd stopped for him.
Hello.
No, not just now. I'm sorry.
Going to California?
No, not today. I'm going to New York. Sorry. After I got the car back on the road again, I felt like a fool. Yet the thought of picking him up, of having him sit beside me, was somehow unbearable. Yet at the same time, I felt more than ever unspeakably alone. Hour after hour went by. The fields, the towns ticked off one by one. The light changed. I knew now that I was going to see him again. And though I dreaded the sight, I caught myself searching the side of the road, waiting for him to appear.
Yep. What is it? What you want?
Well, you sell sandwiches and pop here, don't you?
Yep. We do in the daytime, but we're closed up for the night.
Well, I know, but I was wondering if you could possibly let me have a cup of coffee? Black coffee?
Not at this time of night, mister. My wife's the cook and she's in bed.
Well, now listen. Just a minute ago, there was a man standing here, right beside here, and a suspicious-looking man.
Henry? Who is it, Henry?
It's nobody, Mother. Just a fellow thinks he wants a cup of coffee. Go back to bed.
You know, I don't mean to disturb you, but you see, I was driving along when I just happened to look, and there he was.
What was he doing?
Nothing.
You've been hitting the bottle. That's what's the matter with you. You got nothing better to do than wake decent folk out of their hard-earned sleep. Now get going. Get on.
Well, it looked as though he was going to rob you.
I ain't got nothing in this den to lose. Now on your way before I call out Sheriff Polk.
I got into the car again and drove on slowly. I was beginning to hate the car. If I could have found a place to rest a little, but I was in the Ozark Mountains of Missouri now. The few resort places there were closed. I had seen him at that roadside stand. I knew I'd see him again, maybe at the next turn of the road. I knew that when I saw him next, I'd run him down. But I didn't see him again until late the next afternoon. I'd stopped the car at a sleepy little junction just across for me. Somewhere I shall know who he is and who I am.
What a story. Hope none of you keep seeing ghosts on your long-distance travels. But now, before we begin much lighter fare with our second radio play tonight, let's meet the cast of The Hitchhiker. In the role of Orson Welles, a.k.a. announcer, a.k.a. Ronald Adams, was Rob Hump. His mother was played by Nell Brennan. Along the journey, we met Herb Thompson as the gas station attendant, Andre Dixon and Sue Godzinski as the storekeeper and his wife. The part of the woman hitchhiker who decided that things got a little too weird and ran off was played by Donna Amismeyer. Ellie Babka and Sue Godzinski were telephone operators, and Mrs. Whitney was played by Judy Marsh. Oh, and how could we forget the invisible hitchhiker? That was John Wirtz. Adding to the drama was music director Dr. John P. Gelsomino and sound crew Helly Humph. My specialty was to tout all the virtues of splendid, blended Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, and I'm Rob Krasniewski.